Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Welcome to Tanie Codes. In this tutorial we're going to talk about loops, specifically while loops. So I have a previous tutorial or a previous video where I was talking about while loops. So today is going to be part 2 of that. So we're going to add to whatever knowledge that we had in the previous video to this video right now. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel, like this video, comment in the comment section, and also share this video to anyone who you think might be interested in learning C++. And let's get right into it. Like I said guys, in this tutorial we're going to talk about while loops. While loops is a structure that allows you to loop through a certain program, certain block of code while the condition is true. So as long as the condition is true, it's going to loop throughout the certain block of code as many times as you had instructed. So in coding you'll find, well, in C++ you'll find many instances where you need to use your loops, your while loops, your do while loops, and they are pretty handy and are very useful when you're programming. So I'm just going to start with the tutorial. So firstly, I'm going to declare a variable which I'm going to call counter, which is a data type integer variable. So I'm going to say int, and I'm going to name it counter. So it's going to be my counter variable, and I'm going to assign it to 1. And then so what I've done so far, I've declared a variable int and I've assigned it to counter 1. So our counter contains number 1. And then after that, I'm going to start with my while loop. So essentially the structure of while loop and if statements are similar. So if you haven't watched or if you don't know what if statements are, you can go back to my previous video. I have a tutorial on if statements. So to start my while loop, I'm going to say while, and I'm going to put open close parentheses, and then after that I'm going to put in open close curly brackets. So it's while, and inside these open close parentheses, that's where I'm going to put my condition. So basically this is the structure of a while loop. So like I said, inside this open close brackets, I'm going to put in the condition that I want the computer to follow so that it can execute whatever code I'll write inside of this curly bracket. So I'm going to start with my condition. So it's while counter is less than or equal to 5. So that's my condition right there inside my brackets. It's while, so while counter is less than or equal to 5, then execute whatever that's going to be inside the curly bracket. So now I'm going to write the block of code that I want to be executed while the condition that we put inside this open close parenthesis is true. So I'm going to say cout. It's gonna add an end line so that it becomes neat when we execute our code. Written the block of code that we want to be executed when we run our program. But there's an issue with this program, is that it's going to come here and it's gonna say, okay, we've declared a variable, a counter, and it's equals to 1, and our condition says while counter is less than or equal to 5, execute the amount of a counter. So execute. So now it's going to execute. So now it's going to execute 1 because initially our counter number or our counter variable is equal to 1. So, and it's gonna go back, and then there's nothing has changed so far because it displayed counter to be 1, and then there's nothing that's a factor on changing the value of counter. So that's when our increment from our operators takes place. So we're going to say counter. Here what we've done, I've incremented, I don't know if that's a word, but I've incremented counter. So now after this line, it's going to execute 1, right, and it's gonna come to this next line. So what initially increment is we add 1 to the value that's already there. So our counter value initially was 1. So when it comes here, it's going to say counter, it's going to see our counter plus plus. So it's going to add 1 to the 1 that's already there. Now our counter is going to be 2. and it's gonna come back here and check, okay, while the condition says while counter is less than 5. Now that our counter is 2, it's going to execute the current number of counter. So I'll get our counter, currently it's 2. And then after that's going to come to this line of code again. It's going to check counter, currently it's 2, so I have to add another 1 to the current a value of counter. So it's going to add 1, now it's 3, and it's gonna go back to the condition and it checks while counter is less than 5. What is our current counter number? It's 3. So it's going to execute again and it's going to show 3 on the on our console. And then after that, it's going to come to the next line and it's going to check counter plus plus, which means I have to add another 1, which is going to be 4. And then it's going to come back again and check the condition while counter is less than 5. It's still less than 5. So it's going to say, it's going to execute the block of code again because it is within the range that is specified by the condition. And it's going to come here and it's going to say counter plus plus, so it's going to add another 1 to the counter that's already there, which is 5. And then it's going to come back here and then check, okay, counter less than or equal to 5, and then our counter currently is not less than 5, but it is equal to 5. So our condition still stands. So it's going to come back here, show that 5 into our console, and it's going to come back here. When it comes back here, it's going to say counter whatever value that's in the counter currently plus 1, which is going to be 6, and it's going to go back up again and it's going to check our condition says counter less than or equal to 5, and currently our counter is running on 6. So then our block of code or our program is going to stop there. So this counter is really important because it is a determining factor, or I rather say it keeps the code running or it keeps the code working, because if we don't have this counter currently, so not all the time do you need a counter, but for most of the time you're going to need something that's going to change the program so that it runs. So that's where our counter operator comes in handy. So our counter operator helps us change the factors that's going to affect our condition in a certain way. So now we're going to run our program and see if it works accordingly. So as you can see, guys, on our console we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as I explained before. So it's going to execute then whatever number that the counter is currently carrying. So if it's carrying 1, like initially it did, it's going to show 1, and then 2, and then 3, because we have our increment that's incrementing whatever amount of number that we have on the counter. And then this condition is going to loop until the condition is false. So the block of code is going to loop around until the condition is false. Basically that's what that is, and I've explained to you how this code is going to work specifically. So basically that's what while loops are. You specify a condition and then you put in your code, and then your code is going to run as long as the condition that you specified is true. So in our case, as long as the counter value is less than 5, and then our condition and then our code is going to run until our counter value is greater than 5. So another thing that you should look out for, guys, is something called infinite loop. Infinite loop is when the condition that you specified never becomes false. So the counter value is going to type in 11111 infinitely, and then if it's a serious code, it might even crash your computer. So every time you wanna make sure that you have a certain code that's going to make your condition become false, or else you're gonna have an infinite loop. So let me just quickly show you guys how that works. So for example, if you don't have this line of code over here, so now that I have removed our increment, our counter number is always going to be 1. It's not going to change, hence we're going to have an infinite loop. Let me quickly demonstrate how that is going to be. Now you see, guys, what's happening. Look at this. It's going to looping until 1. It's going to show 1 infinitely. That's what happens if you don't have a factor that makes your code to be false or your condition to be false. So it's going to keep on showing 1 until your computer maybe crashes. Let me quickly remove this. So yeah, that's why you need an increment or any factor that makes your condition to be false. So yeah guys, that's about it for this tutorial. So in my next video I'm going to continue on loops. So I'm going to talk about do while loops, so stay tuned for that. So please click that notification bell so that you can be notified as soon as I publish that video. And if you've seen value in this video, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment in the comment section, and also share this video. Thank you for watching.